What's up, everybody? Izzy Presley here, getting ready to dive into episode number 7 of another effing podcast. But that's coming up in just a little bit. Before we get into that, I must tell you about our very, very, very good sponsor. That is Rockstar Leatherworks. RockstarLeatherworks.com. Check them out. Handcrafted, handmade, super high quality leather watches, bands, cuffs, bracelets, whatever you want to call them. They are badass. I'm holding in my hand right now the one that I wear religiously. That is the Rockstar 68, made to look like the one that came off of Elvis on the 68 comeback special. It's badass. I don't know what else to say about it. Check out rockstarleatherworks.com. Small company. You know you will get the ideal customer service. Get exactly what you want. Check it out, rockstarleatherworks.com. And before we dive into the show, also, please give a quick little shout on the Facebook page, facebook.com/anothereffingpodcast. Hit me up on the website, izzypresleyproductions.com. Drop me an email, izzy@izzypresleyproductions.com. But without further ado, episode 7, Another Effing Podcast.
You kids with your loud music and your Dan Fogelberg, your Zima, hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games, don't you see? People today have attention spans that can only be measured in nanoseconds.
What's up, everybody? Hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you, and it's always good to be seen. Izzy Presley here for another fucking podcast. Episode 7, we have returned after a month-long break. A little bit over a month, something like that. Not by choice. I wish I could say we were just taking a nice little leave of absence. You know, vacationing over the holidays and into the new year. But, alas, yeah, that's not exactly what happened. I had a little technical difficulties, so to speak. Yeah, my interface shit out on me. Therefore, I could not record. I had to send it to get fixed under warranty. And now it is back. And we are back right here on another fucking podcast. A lot has happened since we have been gone. Kiss is now in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And when the incomparable Benny Reagan joins me in just a little bit after he gets done with his Richie Ramone practice, because they are getting ready to head out on tour. Yes, they are going to tour the United States and into Canada from February into March. We'll get into that when he gets in here, right here in the Hurt Locker, and gets himself a nice cold beverage to join me in a cold beverage. We'll get into that. We'll get into, I suppose we can get into New Year's resolutions, because obviously we haven't a chance to get into anything like that.
If I were to give you some money out of my wallet, would that ease the pain?
We haven't had a chance because we've been gone. And again, not by choice. And I have missed each and every one of you. And I really appreciate the support. Been a lot of people on the Facebook page commenting, liking the posts, saying we're coming back soon. So that's good. It really warms my heart so good to know that we're wanted. And of course, Immold giving a shit because he's like, oh, just like that. Oh, no. So do you actually want me to keep you on the site? Of course I want you to keep us on the site. We'll be back. Just having some technical difficulties, that's all. So, you'll be downloading this first from the Erin in the Afternoon website. It is Erin in the Afternoon podcast network page. Us and Oz and Weber. The Mixing It Up podcast with Weber and Oz. Very, very cool thing they got going on there. But before Ben gets in the house and enters the Hurt Locker and has a nice cold icy beverage along with me, Gonna get to some sports stuff. Because Ben's not really a big sports guy, even though he should be happy because he lived for a long time in Seattle. And the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. And, of course, the big news from Sunday was, well, what was his name? Got to look it up. That's how much I care about. Oh, yeah, Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman, defensive back for the Seahawks, threw out a hyper Booker T-like rant at the end of the game when he got his sideline or post-game interview with Erin Andrews. Giggity. He went on a rampage, and I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't. I don't think you heard anything different than you would have heard as if he was mic'd up on the field during the game and he made that play. Him and Crabtree have had some heat in the past, so it was there. And he let it out on Erin Andrews, which is fine. I have no problem with that kind of heat, especially moving into the Super Bowl. It just creates more people to want to watch it, to watch the Seahawks lose because they don't like what he said. I don't have a problem with it at all. Showing emotion, he was fired up, and he has legitimate heat with Crabtree. It's all good. My problem goes back to what I bitched about last week. Well, I shouldn't say last week. I should say last month. On the last episode, episode 6, I went on a tizzy, so to speak, talking about sideline reporters and mediocrity in media, especially in sports media. And this is not a rip on Erin Andrews. I mean, she's obviously qualified to do the job. She's been doing it for quite a long time on the 4-letter network and then now with Fox. Unfortunately, I did not get to see it live because I had a little incident with Jack Daniels the night before, so I was sleeping all day. I missed a very cool Super Bowl party, but football party because I was bedridden and hungover like you would not believe. But if you missed my rant in the last episode, go back and take a tinge, take a listen, take a gander. You will hear me complain about sideline reporters and the stupid questions they ask. Now, Erin Andrews, she did ask one question when he was on his rant. She asked who it was about. And he said Crabtree. And went off on another rant. And then they just cut right back to somebody else. Now, again, not saying Erin Andrews is not qualified to do the job. Not saying she's bad at what she does. But I just think that in those kind of situations, post-game sideline reporters on the field, you need to have former players. That's the reality of it. Because those guys have been there. They know how to deal with that because they've dealt with it on the field. They've heard it on the field. They know what to say. They know what to ask. Somebody who hasn't does not. She handled it very cool and calmly. But it could have been handled so much better. It could have turned into a great interview. It did not. So, if you're listening, and you're one of those people in charge, get your former players to do those interviews. It'll make everything so much better. Now, another thing happened on Saturday. Something that I love, a good old-fashioned line brawl in the NHL. Vancouver and the St. Louis Flames. I believe it. St. Louis Flames. St. Louis Flames. Calgary Flames. Good old-fashioned line brawl. It happened in Vancouver. Something, I don't know the exact whole backstory, but the coach for the Flames put in his starting lineup, and that starting lineup was his fourth line with his bigger, tougher guys. And, well, the way it works in the NHL, the visiting team puts in their starting lineup. the home team gets to look at that starting lineup and then put in their starting lineup, because throughout the game, they always get the last line change right before a face-off. That's kind of how it works. So, the coach of the Vancouver Canucks, whose name escapes me right now, but he's awesome, puts his fourth line out there. And the puck drops, and the gloves go, and we have ourselves a good old-fashioned line brawl. Cleared everything up. I didn't get to see the game, so I'm sure there was a couple more fights after that. But if there wasn't, sue me. Actually, don't. You're not going to get shit. Now, what happens after said line brawl is you got ESPN getting fuel to whine about hockey, because that's the only time they do. That's the only time they talk about hockey, is when they have a chance to bitch about it. Watch PTI. They talk about hockey when something quote-unquote bad happens. I don't think a line brawl is bad. I think it's part of the game. Will Bong, or whatever his chops is, just will not shut up. And now, what I heard in my hungover sleepiness, sleeping with my phone with the radio on, more people whining about fighting and hockey. Why is it there? It doesn't need to be there. Blah, 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 blah. Winner of the game. Blah, 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 blah. Pardon me, another Busch Light. Shut the fuck up. Get out of our game. Fighting is there for a reason. It's always been there for a reason. Well, they don't need to police the game. That's what the referees are for. Bullshit. The game is so fast. The game is so tough. So hard-hitting. You need to let them do that. Fight happens. Incident over. Go to the penalty box. 5 minutes. Boom. Move on. It's over. It's done with. You don't need anything else. But you get the jarheads that keep whining and whining and whining, wanting fighting out of hockey. And yeah, I know they're trying to move towards it, especially with this stupid half-shield rule. If you're not aware of this, players that have been in the league are grandfathered in, much like when they made helmets mandatory. I still disagree with that. Kidding, of course. Now, if you're a brand new player coming into the league, you are forced to wear a half shield. This causes more chippiness. This causes more, I think, loose stick play. You get more high sticks. And you get guys that they're not going to throw down. They're not going to drop the mitts. They just antagonize because they can skate away and they can hide behind that shield. It's been going on ever since shields have been starting to be worn. It's unfortunate. I think they should have reversed that rule and say, no, you can't wear them. I think it would make for a better game. I think fighting makes for a better game. I think fighting makes for a more exciting game. I'm not saying there should be fighting all game, because I get extremely annoyed with that stupid joke. Hey, I went to a boxing match and a hockey game broke out. Fuck off. Fighting is in hockey. Fighting is in hockey. Deal with it. It's a part of the game. It always has been. You know, the thing is, you go to a hockey game, 3 things get people out of their seats. 1, the home team scores a goal. Exciting. Hey, they scored. Yay. 2, home team wins. Yay, we won. Yay. Dun-dun-dun. Hey. Dun-dun-dun. Oh, wait, they don't play that anymore, which is unfortunate. And the number 3 thing, which is usually gets the biggest pop, is when a fight happens. I'm not talking a big old-fashioned line brawl, but if you watch that video and you can hear the crowd, that pop is louder than when Vancouver scores. We're playing in Vancouver, you see. Fighting belongs in hockey, I'm sorry. I know. Doesn't belong in football. Obviously doesn't belong in basketball because they look like a bunch of bitches when they try to fight. Baseball, I love a nice bench clearing brawl. The only time I really have a problem with fighting in hockey is when people are taking offense to a clean hit. Yeah, they're standing up for their teammate, but you know what? It's a clean hit. Deal with it. Get up, skate to the bench, shake it off. You're a hockey player. You're tough. Get back out on the ice. That's the way it goes. It's hockey. So stop your fucking whining. Because you know what's going to happen. Fighting is going to end up being taken out of hockey. And then you're going to end up with soccer on ice, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. I don't want that. Who in their right mind that watches hockey likes soccer? Well, how many Americans actually like soccer anyways? None that I know. They usually stop liking soccer after they're about 4 or 4th grade. Because their parents are smart enough to put them in soccer to run all that energy out so they can go home and not be as much of a handful. I loved playing soccer when I was a kid. Because you got orange slices. That was awesome. But the thing of it is, too, if you look at the guys that will throw down, the guys that will drop the mitts, the guys will go nose to nose and toes to toes, usually the most popular players on the team and the nicest guys in the league. Every guy that I've met, every guy that I've interviewed, Derek Bugard being one, George Peros being another. Hell, Chris Simon was a nice guy. Any guy that was his role, very likable guy, super nice guy. It's their job. And let us not forget that these are grown men. These aren't kids. These are grown men who are paid a considerable amount of money. I said amount of money to play a game of hockey that I wish I could get paid to play. I just can't skate worth a shit. And part of that game is getting in a fight now and then. Sorry. It's part of the game. And they get paid to do it. Boxers get paid. Obviously, different sport, different type of thing. These are grown men getting paid millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Stop your internal dialogue and leave our sport alone, you fucking whiny asshole douchebags. There. I feel verklempt, or whatever that word means. All right, Benny Reagan will be here momentarily. Just want to take a minute to talk about Rockstar Leatherworks. Buy some stuff from them. Everybody I know that's purchased a product from Rockstar Leatherworks, very cool watches, kick-ass watches, happier than shit. They go back and they buy another one because they want something else, because the thing that they got was so damn awesome. RockstarLeatherworks.com. Check them out. And while you're at it, after you place that order at RockstarLeatherworks.com, head over to Facebook and go to Another Effin' Podcast. Click that like button. Share it with your friends. Share this podcast with your friends. Because the more people that listen, the more this thing just keeps turning and turning and turning and getting bigger and better. And I've got a lot of great ideas for 2014. And I cannot wait to share them with you for when they actually happen. Also, if you have any suggestions for the show, give me an email, Izzy at izzypresleyproductions.com. Or just check out my website. Find out what's going on with my clients, my PR clients. izzypresleyproductions.com.
It's the strangest thing. He's 8 years old and he smells like Robert Downey Jr.
All right, and that soundbite means one and only thing. The man has joined us again. Mr. Benny Reagan, welcome
Hello.
back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And should we do this ceremonially?
Sure.
Let us crack these.
Should I give a Ramones 1, 2, 3, 4?
Sure, go for it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ah, yeah.
Beauty.
Oh.
Beauty, eh?
Beauty, eh? Drink your beer, eh? Beer is delicious, is it not?
It is the sweet nectar of the gods, yeah.
Oh, man. You had a long jam session tonight, dude.
It's kind of par for the course, breaking in new people and just getting ready for this many dates. I think everybody is really excited, but this is a different animal than what we've experienced before.
Yeah, and you guys, well, I thought you guys left in February, but you guys actually leave next week already.
The first show is in Las Vegas, I believe, on the 28th.
Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Yeah, I'm going to take my per diem and triple it.
I would suggest...
7,11.
Where are you guys playing in Vegas?
Oh, God, the Cheyenne Saloon.
Okay. I don't know where that one is.
I think it's on the Strip.
Oh, kick ass. So after you take your per diem and after you play the show, just go down to Casino Royale. That would be my suggestion.
I have played there before. You know what? Fremont, I did okay, but then I should have heeded the warning signs and got out when it was still safe. El Cortez, I think, was and I understand they've changed management since. I've won really big there a few years ago.
See, I've done well at the Casino Royale because that actually is the very last.
Well, what's your game though?
Usually the Elvis slots.
Oh, there you go.
And the Star Wars slots back by the cans. Those have been really good to me too because that's the very last family-owned casino on the Strip.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The slots are good if you just want to get really drunk. The nickel slots are the way to go.
Yeah, but their beers are only $1 regardless.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, see? $1 beers. Man, it's been a while. I haven't had you on in a month.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't been here in a month anyways, but because of my little technical difficulties, but you weren't able to make the last show, which is fine, but I'm glad I'm able to get you on before you leave here for a couple months.
Me too. I enjoy
get on this tour.
the conversations.
Yeah, it's fun. New Year's. Did you come up with any resolutions? We haven't had a chance to talk about any of this stuff.
Yeah, actually I did. So far, a couple of them, I sort of had I don't know, just an epiphany, if you will, over the holidays when I was in Florida with my family, and there was a couple of them. One was I'm not gonna get specific, but one was to get problem people, like people that I like have had a history with, that I know what to expect, but then I have a tendency to kind of be sort of forgiving, or try and give people the benefit of the doubt. And with regards to specifically one individual that I just needed to break all the ties with, and then as fate would have it, that it made it a lot easier. I won't go into details, but yeah, to avoid problem people, to not get angry, to just to work around problems and obstacles, and rather than getting pissed off, just being able to deal with it and move beyond it, and that's been I find that and it's only we're still in January.
We are still in January, yes.
I've started trying to to be conscious of this and implement it, and I've noticed that once I did it, I can't believe that I ever used to explode the way I used to when I was younger.
It really takes a weight off your shoulders, doesn't it?
Kind of. Jealousy and anger take up a lot of energy, and that energy could be used for something a lot more productive and fun.
Like drinking beer and playing music.
Like rocking the fucking face and getting really loaded. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, mine's not quite as good as yours. I had a nice little list going, and of course I didn't write them down, and I don't remember them. But basically, not be as lazy, and I'm kind of working towards that. Start that DDP yoga because I want to get not as fat. I got to look good for the Monsters of Rock cruise and the other two cruises also. But that was really the big one. Just not be such a lazy ass. Get my ass out of bed, on my days off and do something. I mean, fuck, we're in Hollywood. We're in California, man. It's beautiful outside. Why sit inside? You know?
I've had trouble breaking the programming, if you want to call it that, from 10 years that I spent in the Northwest. And on top of it, I worked graveyard most of the time I lived up there. Oh. And so it's real easy to slip into that. And I swear to part of it's just that, you know, this house is it's old but it's always cold inside, and like there's this tendency I'll wake up really early in the morning and I'll be like, oh, I don't even want to get out of bed. And you know, that lends itself to living in Seattle and then growing up in the Midwest where they actually have winters. And then if I get 9 times out of 10, if I get up and I go outside to like check for the paper or the mail or whatever, just to see what the weather's, it's fucking warm. It's sunny, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I go back inside, and I'm like, ooh.
Yep, exactly. It's like I leave here roughly around 8 o'clock to get to work, and usually when I leave, it's 55 to 58. You know, this time of year. But by the time I get to Woodland Hills, it's already like 65, and then you know, it's like, oh, this is much warmer. Then I walk out of work, and it's still like 70. I'm like, oh yes.
It's been particularly warm lately. It's sunny.
I'm definitely not complaining. So, something major has happened since the last time we chatted on these microphones. The Masked Marauders, which I now call the Masked Menudos, Kiss, is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, soon to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Your thoughts?
Honestly, I mean, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't sooner, as they've been such a money-making enterprise for so long, and with such a widespread pop culture Americana appeal. You know, I think that, and I think people from other countries would agree that it's one of the things that the people that are inspired by, like, you know, that love celebrity and pop culture, they're always one of the first things I think that people correlate with America. You know,
what do you think's gonna happen? Because
I think they're gonna play. Personally, I mean, I think they're gonna suit up. They're gonna play. It'll probably be pretty good. You know, who knows if they play with tapes or whatever, how they do that. You know, so if it's gonna be like it's just straight up, you know, they're gonna go for it. My knowledge, and limited as it is that anytime you see a band playing, you know, on a televised thing or playing to a tape.
Yeah, but I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's a little bit different.
I can't rightly say, because I can't say that I've ever watched anything other than when the Ramones were inducted. That's the only footage I've really seen from that. I've kind of steered clear because I think some of their, it's like anything. It's like the Grammys or you know, Academy Awards, whatever, where it's, you know, who decides? I mean, I know it's based on album sales and stuff, but it's, you know, it's kind of a rigged system.
It definitely is, and it's I know a lot of the voters are people from Rolling Stone magazine and just other industry folks and a lot of them are really fucking old, you know, and really out of touch. And, you know, and then you get down into the whole thing, you know, well, you know, what's rock and roll, and, you know, why are rap groups going in? That's not rock and roll. And it's, I don't know. But I just, as a fan, I just want to see them on stage together one more time with the original band. And, you know, when it first came out, when they first said that they are getting inducted, everybody was saying the right things. Gene's like, yeah, absolutely. You know, we'd definitely be open to playing with them and playing with Ace and Peter. And Paul said the same thing. But then, like, a week and a half, 2 weeks later, you know, Gene and Paul are flapping their gums on Twitter. No, it's just not going to happen, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Is it a work? Is it a work just to make us think it's not going to happen?
I think they're revving people up. I think they're doing like wrestlers used to do, you know, or still probably do with the rivalry, where they know exactly what they're going to do, and I think that they're just kind of just stirring up dust, you know, whipping up the rumor mill, and I think they'll play.
I I just wish they'd just come out and say it.
Yeah, but that ruins the surprise.
Yeah,
though.
but you got to remember they're not doing it in Cleveland this year. They're doing it in the Bronx in an arena.
See, that right there is, to me, it seems like an admission. Why the hell would you do it in New York, let alone the Bronx?
Right.
When it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame itself is in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
It's not like there's a satellite campus, in New York City.
Well, I think they just wanted to do it somewhere bigger this year so more people could go. Because, I mean, I guess the auditorium where they do it, it's not that big in Cleveland. I wouldn't think so.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I've never been. I've never been. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. Got a couple funky little stories to yap about. You're going to like this one. Vinyl kills the MP3 industry. Not sure
well,
if you
it should.
Not sure if you saw this story. It looks like it was
I
from,
did actually.
Yeah, from
did.
Billboard. Digital music sales decreased for the first time ever. Vinyl continues to grow. Granted, it's not growing at an enormous pace.
No, but there's so much stuff that's being repressed and new records coming out all the time. As a collector, and I'm kind of on the poser level these days. I mean, what I have is pretty freaking good if you're into punk rock and metal and garage surf and funk and all kinds of shit. I mean, it's a mixed bag for sure, and it's very like I don't have as many records as I used to. I probably got over 1,000. Fuck, maybe probably. I don't know. I think that the record rack that I got, I think that's 50 per cubicle.
Okay.
And then there's 25 of those cubicles, and 2/3 of them are filled. But, I haven't gone and done a real inventory on it. But regardless, there's so much stuff now, I can't even keep track of it. I mean, if I wanted to even just focus, because I try and get classic stuff. I'm not above getting a repress if it's mastered well, but I'd still rather get the genuine article. But I'm not like maniacal like a lot of collectors are, where they get like the same record, like different pressings from different countries, and it's like the same. There might be a slight difference, but that to me is asinine. And what I've also noticed is that the stuff that I would hang on to, if somebody told me like you could only have like 20 records, most of it is like not hard to get. It's not rare at all. It's just like, I don't know, it's certain major label stuff, or
it's like, do you want something you're never going to listen to except for maybe once every 2 years, or do you want Frampton Comes Alive?
That's funny, we were talking about Frampton Comes Alive at practice tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
wow. Wow.
Well, the boss said he felt good, and I'm like, yeah, are you having a Frampton moment? And he told me that when he was in high school, he had his hair exactly like that, and like, because he had there was a glam era, where he was cutting his teeth, I guess, playing in his first bands. Everything that he's played me from his previous bands has been just amazing, great stuff.
Have you seen photos of the Do?
Yeah, I have.
Is it glorious?
It's pretty freaking awesome, especially because he had a beard too.
Oh,
and it was the 70s, so there's like
great.
butterfly collars and huge platinum shoes. It's fucking amazing.
The feathered hair and the beard. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I'll say this: we've talked about this before, just hanging out and shooting the shit. But I maintain that I think that generation that he grew up, and I've always said that I wish I was at least 10 years older than I am, and because that was just there was just a lot of killer shit going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was really a high point in entertainment. You just kind of the best of the best, and I really don't think it's ever. I'm not saying that everything's shit,
right?
Even if a lot of it is, but it's never been like that again.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you're talking like the early 70s, late 60s.
Yeah, well, I'd say actually mid 70s into the early 80s.
Oh yeah,
that's a sweet spot, and that's where his generation is from, and because you had the best of, like, you had the tail end, and the beginnings of punk. Mm-hmm. You've got the tail end of the more garage post Summer of Love, like more angry American rock and roll bands like the Stooges and the MC5, and then you had the Cramps, and then as the late 70s, early 80s, you had the break of like good American punk, and after the Pistols came through, then there was a whole resurgence or westernized version. So you had all those great bands, not only from New York but LA. Ramones come out of that, and Television and Talking Heads and Suicide, and then on the West Coast you have Circle Jerks and Black Flag, and there's just a lot of and those bands aren't even those are the more well known ones. You got Misfits out of Jersey, and,
right,
and that just like opened the floodgates to a really good, if you do the legwork, and it also depends on your tastes, but people are always like, oh, well, punk died in this year and punk died in that year. But as long as I've been alive and active in music and appreciating music, it's not that all I listen to is punk rock or hardcore, but I've had a fervent interest, and I can't tell you really a year that there wasn't at least a few dozen really good records that kind of turn. I mean, it's few and far between, like any genre of music, and I say the G word. There's a lot of crap, but there'll be that one thing, or there's few couple releases, and generally they aren't the big sellers. They're kind of like nice little secrets that those that are in the know realize it's great. And critics generally love it, but I've always said that when critics love an album, then it's gonna tank.
That's an excellent point. Well, it's funny you talk about that era of punk, and you look at a lot of quote unquote pop bands that came out of that era that were punk bands when they started, like Blondie.
Oh yeah,
like
Blondie's first, actually every up to was it Auto America? I think that's the fourth one. I have those. I love those records, and I've been able to meet Rich is friends with Clement Burke, who was actually a Ramone. Clement Burke from Blondie was a Ramone for 2 shows as Elvis Ramone.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but he got sacked. He couldn't. He's a phenomenal drummer. The guy smokes me, man. He's a fucking powerhouse. But that Ramones drumming requires a lot of stamina and a constant right hand, and if you aren't,
that's what she said.
Totally. If you aren't able to do that, if that's not within, and I think he's a more like jazz, wanting to kind of riff on stuff and throw a lot of shit in there, and you can't. It's like meat and potatoes. You got to go in there and just keep it going. It's like a weed whacker, constant 16th notes.
And then, the Cars were a punk band too, weren't they?
The interesting footnote is that Rick Ocasek, I guess they're more new wave. I kind of invented that, I guess, in a way.
Well, yeah, but before they hit like that, they were, when they were doing like CBGBs and stuff like that back in New York.
You know what they would be? I would consider them power pop.
Okay.
Because that's and that's, you get into punk rock, and then there's all these subgenres of punk.
Okay.
And power pop is, and that is, that kind of goes along with what I was saying, and that as you learn about these different, subcategories and little compartmentalized, cliques and different bands and stuff. But Rick Ocasek, who, first of all, he banged Paulina Poroskova, which means he's a badass.
Yes.
Even though he was kind of the most awkward guy in the band, and he's awesome because his name's Ben, but Benjamin Orr was kind of the looker in that band. But Ocasek produced the Bad Brains LP, Rock for Light, and that's a kind of classic, it totally is a classic hardcore record. And, so, yeah, I would say the punk ethos was there. But Candio, I'm glad you brought up the Cars. I was revisiting a lot of my late 70s, early 80s rock records. To me, is kind of the perfect rock and roll album. It has everything I'm looking for. And I can't really describe it any better than that.
You can't go wrong with the Cars. You just can't. I mean, it's good songs. They're catchy. And they don't suck.
Yeah.
I guess that's, the best way to describe it. Another band, too, that people don't realize has punk roots is the Bangles.
Oh, definitely. Well, the Go-Go's, too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Bangles started out as a punk rock garage band, pretty much. Then they got signed and they got turned into what we know as the Bangles. And if you ever go see the Bangles live, which I wish I could this Sunday, but probably just won't be in the budget because they're playing at the Whiskey, you would hear it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're a different, totally different thing. And there's actually I don't know about any early Bangles stuff, but I know with the Go-Go's, there's a record that I've been looking for called Punk Tarts. That's when they had their original drummer, and
okay,
I forget her name. She was in Castration Squad too. Oliviero was her last name. I think it's Maria Oliviero. And they got obviously when those goes got Gina Shock, and I've always said that and really I hate to I don't want to sound like a misogynist, but like really ripping female drummers. They're few and far between. Well, ripping drummers in general. But
absolutely.
Gina Shock is a kick-ass drummer. She plays surf. She's got that right hand. And, the chick's a fucking open heart surgery survivor. She's a killer drummer. But the chick they had before was really good, too. It was just a different thing. It was kind of more like, I don't know, I'd say leaning more towards, like, the Mo Tucker. I think Mo Tucker from the Velvet Underground is a killer drummer. And she's not exactly, totally technically proficient, but
I didn't even know they had a chick drummer.
Yep.
Shows you how much I know. But going back to the vinyl thing too, I think one of the things that's driving it a little bit is a lot of this new stuff is coming out on vinyl.
Definitely.
Like Winery Dogs, their record just came out on vinyl, and I want to pick that up.
Richie's record's out on vinyl.
Absolutely, white vinyl, correct?
Yep. Entitled is out on white vinyl.
And where can you get that?
You can get that through richieramone.com. You should be able to get that at interpunk.com. You should probably be able to get it at Amazon. You can download it at iTunes. Go see the shows.
Yes, go see the shows.
The North American invasion is upon us, and the hour is drawing nigh before I will assume my true form.
I've already been telling people in Minneapolis to go to the show and then come up and give you shit. And yell another fucking podcast at you.
If they can get close enough that their faces don't get seared off by those Black Star amps, then
yes.
that'll be great.
What's your tagline with the Black Stars?
They rock so hard they hurt my feelings. That was just one of them. I stole that from my friend Burke.
That's the one that ended up on the site, right?
No. The quote they used on the site was something like, with using Series 1 amplifiers, I can rest assured that I'll rock the faces of even the kids in the cheap seats. I think that's what it says.
I like the other one better.
Yeah, I was torn between them. I really wanted to use Black Star Series 1 amplifiers. They'll fuck you up for life. I thought that was was the one.
Oh, that is classic.
That was the one, but cooler heads prevailed, and I decided to just I went with the more wordy, corny one. Whatever.
Here's a story about a gal I want to party with. Drunk woman steals 45-foot ferry while shouting, "I'm Jack Sparrow."
Fuck yes. Yeah. Future Mrs. Benjamin Reagan.
Well, you gotta take a look at her first.
Kim Falley tell me, you get a red light bulb and a blue light bulb and put it off into the room and it all looks amazing. That's a true story.
Oh, that shit is hilarious. Have you ever been drunk enough to steal a ferry?
No. Golf carts, yes.
Right. But I think the icing on the cake is yelling, "I'm Jack Sparrow," while doing it.
I see nothing wrong with this.
No, I just wonder if she was doing the accent at the same time, doing that Keith Richards impression. I don't know. Oh, here's another one too. I can't remember if we've chatted about this or not. I don't think so. But there was a little shooting down in Florida at a movie theater. Deadly shooting. Hold on. Let it load. Let it load. Giggity. Deadly shooting at Tampa area movie theater over cell phone noise. Now, I don't want to go out on a limb here, but I might almost think this is justified.
I was thinking the same thing. And, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big, advocate of gun violence. In fact, you don't know, I probably don't know this, but I guess it was yesterday. The days have kind of been blending together because I've been putting in some serious hours. I found out that a good friend of mine and a guy that I refer to as the patient zero of Northwestern hardcore, who really brought a lot of amazing band, was in some killer bands. Actually, it was in a band called Diddley Squat that I believe it's the drummer, might be the bass player, is in the Foo Fighters now.
Oh, okay.
And Mike Fisher was the singer. He was in a couple other bands. I think he was in False Liberty. I could be wrong with that, but he's definitely in Aspirin Feast, who was a band that I really liked. And he was in a high-speed chase, and supposedly, I think what they're doing is calling it suicide, like a suicide by cop thing.
Okay.
Where basically it was more than likely gunned down by the SPD, and then they're like, yeah, well, he may, he looked like he was reaching for something, but,
right.
But still, that said, and I lost good friend, a year and some change ago to gun violence. People that are on their cell phone are kind of asking for it. Especially that speakerphone shit.
Oh, I know.
I mean, fuck that. I have to deal with the public when I do my non-fun, non-rocking job. On God forbid that I have to ever do that.
Yeah, but hey, man, that's how we met.
That's true, and that's why I am good at what I do when I'm doing that shit, and it gets me out of the house, and I've met interesting people. I mean, actually,
absolutely.
Just the other day too, the same day, I had some random guy and his girlfriend come in. He was a horn player, and he gave me a Big Boys postcard, which is one of my favorite bands from Austin, Texas, and just out of the blue, because I recognized it. I'm like, oh my God, that's the Big Boys. And he's like, wow, you can have this because you got it. And he was
badass.
He was a Feeders fan too, because he'd grown up in Phoenix, so he was shitting his pants when we started talking music. And I'm like, I played drums for the Feeds, I was like, no, and I filled in the timeline. He's like, holy shit. So that's always, it's interesting. It's just the interaction, with the money sucks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, as usually those kind of jobs do. But no, wait a minute.
It's what it's called here in LA. It's the view of the Hollywood sign. It's like, you're making less money than you were on unemployment, but hey, you got a view of the Hollywood sign. Ow. That's bullshit.
Wait a minute. I'm just thinking about this now. How many hometown return gigs do you have on this tour? Because you're kind of been transplanted all over the country. Well, you've got Seattle.
Oh, I see. Seattle would be the only other one.
Really?
Yeah, there's not one in Indy, because they wouldn't. I don't think we'd get booked in like Bloomington or Muncie, where I lived when I was a little kid. And then we're not playing in Des Moines, Iowa. I lived there for a few years and went to junior high school.
Where?
Iowa. And then
no St. Louis?
No St. Louis.
Wow.
That would be the biggie, throughout high school. St. Louis is a town that touring acts generally avoid.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of good shows don't go through there. And I have mixed feelings, because, I cut my teeth playing live professionally when I was still in high school in St. Louis. Where? St. Louis. And I've seen some epic shows there that you would not have that experience anywhere else. But, and I'm sure St. Louis isn't that different than a lot of cities, but it's kind of the thing where if you have a touring band that's coming through, that, everyone will come out en masse, and you'll have a huge, packed club well, it used to be that way. I haven't lived there in forever, so I'm saying when I was there. But on a local level, you're lucky to get 10 people, 15 people, And
man, that's tough.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like really bad rap funk metal and like ska there. That shit runs rampant, and I fucking hate that stuff. I mean, I like all kinds of music, but This shit was just really bad.
I've done that gig in front of like 20 people in a place that holds like 300.
That's terrible.
It's not fun.
No, I think everybody that's ever strapped on a guitar or sat behind, got behind the kit or whatever, has had those kind of shows. And yeah, it's not only does it suck because the place is empty, but also the sound is always fucked up because the room's so big that the reverberation, there's not warm bodies to absorb it and have their faces ripped off.
Luckily, with my gig, it did sound very good. As I'm on stage, I'm seeing thousands of dollars coming out of my pocket to pay for everything.
Yeah, that's not good.
But I was opening for my buddy Anthony Shore, my Elvis guy, and we did Going Blind, and the crowd loved it.
Well, did you have fun?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's what it's sometimes.
I played the harp for the first time on stage.
Damn.
Because we did She Caught the Katy. That's what we opened up with.
Oh, the blues harp.
Yeah.
I was trying to picture you like playing the fucking.
Yeah, no, not quite that. Dude, we both got fucking tickets for the last couple days. I busted my LA parking ticket cherry. $58 fucking dollars.
I got a fix-it ticket.
And you got a fix-it ticket. But
I was asking for it. I knew the thing was out. The brake light was out. And I just been stretched to my limit. Work and practice. And then trying to just get everything together.
Dude, don't feel bad. I've had a reverse light out since before I came here. And I have the light in the car. But I just haven't put it in yet.
You know what I do too? I've had one out for probably like, I hate to say it, probably close to 7 years. And it's just one of them. I have the bulb. And I imagine tomorrow when I go and fix this fucking thing so I can knock that off my list before I have like literally technically like 2 or 3 days to get all my ducks in a row.
Oh, yeah, because you're wrapped up with practice and then NAMM.
Yeah.
NAMM.
I know.
I'm fucking stoked. We're going to NAMM.
It'll be awesome.
We are not going to follow the Ho Chi Minh Trail. We're actually going to Anaheim.
Yep.
Charlie's
in the trees. Charlie's in the trees.
So I heard that like for Gibson, you have to have an appointment.
I don't know how any of this is going to work. I am just kind of like, I guess this is the third NAMM that I've been to.
Okay.
Second in LA, I went to the summer NAMM in Nashville, and honestly was so hungover from the previous night's show that and that was around the time I was getting friendly with Mosrite guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I just hung around the Mosrite booth. I walked around for a little bit. I got some food, and then I found a quiet bar, and I had a couple hair of the dogs and got out of there. I didn't want to really be in a convention setting. I guess I should have taken more of a active role. Last year, I went with Rich, and it was cool. Met a bunch of different percussion, the people that we're with now, I guess. That he's endorsed by SJC Percussion, Axis. I just got an Axis t-shirt tonight when we've been using their new pedals.
Nice.
Yeah, it's some good shit. The thing is, Axis longboards are kind of legendary with a lot of extreme music, like playing grindcore and stuff like that. And I really want to like grind like a son of a bitch when I get behind that thing, and it's not appropriate for what I'm doing, so I don't.
Right.
But, they're set up for that. They're made for it.
There any shows you're looking forward to seeing over this little NAMM weekend? Because there's a lot of shit going on.
I can't even. I'm hesitant when I'm home to even listen to music right now because I have to be really singularly focused on getting ready. So I'm not planning on going out. I've just got blinders on right now.
That's no fun. This is everybody's in town. So I mean, you're not even going to the boat with me?
I can't really fuck around before I leave.
Yeah,
It's all it would take is, and I've seen this happen to people. I've heard the stories and I've had close calls. Bombed, walking back to the car, going down like a staircase and twisting the wrong ankle.
Yeah, I suppose.
Fucking bye-bye tour. Honestly, before we went to Australia, I got hammered and came back to the Hurt Locker and got up in the middle of the night, don't remember it, and tripped over something and it was so bad I had to go to the emergency room with my left foot. Actually,
Damn.
One of my best comebacks ever, or little, I don't know what you'd call it, witticism, whatever. This gal that works at the pawn shop saw me come in. And I was getting one of my guitars out, and I was on a cane. I mean, we're getting ready to go to Australia. And she's like, "Oh, my God, are you all right?" And so what happened? I said, I went to bed and everything was fine. And I woke up the next morning really early, and it was like purple and huge and throbbing. And I'm like, and my foot really hurt too. But if it would have been the right, it ended up healing pretty quick. But if it had been my right foot, it would have really jeopardized everything.
Oh yeah,
it was right before we left. Too.
But you do realize you do sound like an old man right now. You sound like a dad. Don't mess it up.
You know what?
I've
not
rock and roll.
I know it's not, but you know what? I've heard a lot of. I've had a lot of I've seen a lot of people like fall trying to be Billy Badass and living off stage. I'll be as wild and fucking the real deal when it's go time and after after the shows I'll party all fucking night. But it's just like they say that like accidents happen like within a 5 months rest. Like tonight I got the fucking ticket right up there on Fig. I wasn't even. I was, close to home.
Right.
I was going fucking crazy. So I just got to rein it in. There's a lot. I've not ever gone out for this long. And with, I've gone on month-long tours, but there weren't as many shows.
Right. Plus, this is pretty badass what you're doing too. So, oh man, let's wrap this shit up. I got to get my fat ass to bed. And
desperately wish for alcohol.
Cigarettes, actually. That's what I need the most. Well, hopefully sometime while you're out on that road, maybe I'll get this shit lined up so I can actually take calls, and maybe you can do a little phone-in thing if you have time when you're on the road. We'll see.
Definitely.
Maybe. I'll do my best, but until then, I'll try to get a guest in every week and fill the empty space, fill my empty pauses.
I'll be doing updates. I could probably do something on the fly. We should have. I wonder if we're gonna have the GoPro this time. I shot an entire documentary. Well, not like scripted documentary, but I took a bunch of films, a bunch of videos with the GoPro, and we went to South America. That was like a year ago in October, and we've barely delved into that. I wonder if we're going to have... I hope we have the camera for this one. This is like 6 weeks,
Well, yeah, all you got to do is find somebody with a smartphone and just use the recorder, and they just send me the file, and I can just...
Oh, well, that's definitely doable.
Absolutely.
The other... Rich and Alex and Claire, they're all about their phone. Everyone's all about their phone.
I wouldn't know anything about that, but... So
everybody is except me. I don't give a shit.
I know you don't. So RichieRamone.com. That's the website, correct?
That's correct.
Get on there, check out the tour dates. Get
Something in My Drink Tour 2014.
Get out there, see the shows, and then get your pictures with old Benny over here, and send them to me.
Buy lots of Richie merch.
And buy lots of Richie merch. Hit up the Facebook page, facebook.com/effing. God, I'm gonna fuck this up again. It's late. Give me a break. Another effing podcast. And of course, if you want to contact me, Twitter, Izzy_Presley. Just email me, Izzy@IzzyPresleyProductions.com. I am going to leave you with a band that was based out of Phoenix. Played the central Minnesota area. I guess they played the tri-state area a lot. They're called Crash Alley. And this is them covering Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Kind of my farewell.
It's a good song.
Yeah, farewell to Benny for a couple months.
Well,
Follow
I'm not
the Ho Chi
gone
Minh
yet.
Trail. You're not gone wet. Not gone wet. Oh, I really need to sleep. All right, brother.
We'll have our last straw. We'll get fucked up before I go.
Think we won't. I will see you guys next week. I do love you all. It is another fucking podcast.
Yay.
stayed on the farm. Should have listened to my old man. You know you can't hold me forever. I didn't sign up with you. I'm not a present for your friends to open. This boy's too young to be singing the bells. So goodbye, young road, where the dogs of society howl. You can't put me in your bedrooms. I'm going back to my plow, back to the Hollywood darling it was until haunted by oh, I finally decided my future lies beyond the yellow brick wall. What do you think you'll do then? I bet they shoot down your plane. It'll take you a couple of vodka and tonics to set you on your feet again. Maybe you'll get a replacement. There's plenty like me to be found. Mongrels who ain't got a penny, sleeping with tips like you on my ground. So get my road where the dogs are.